I was the morning star, I was Lucifer. I then became Satan, and the name Satan could be another definition that defines without the spiritual light and energy of God. I was drawn to the spiritual light and energy of God. The spiritual light and energy of God was much brighter and full of more spiritual light and energy than I was. I was drawn to the power of God. I was drawn to the spiritual power that God possessed and was receiving and giving. I was jealous of God. I wanted all of the spiritual light and energy, including God's spiritual light and energy, to be a part of me, instead of me being a part of God's spiritual light and energy. Lucifer was in desire of everything. I wanted to be at one, in the wholeness of everything, just like God. I knew God was connected to everything and everyone, and He was the source of all spiritual light and energy. I was only a part of that spiritual source. I was only a reflection of that spiritual source of spiritual light and energy. I did not want to be a reflection of spiritual light and energy. I wanted to be the source of spiritual light and energy. I had a plan to take over heaven, so I could become the source of spiritual light and energy, instead of being only a piece of spiritual light and energy. I talked to the angels in heaven and told them we could possess all that God possessed spiritually. We could reign above God's throne in heaven. I convinced a third of the host of heaven to follow me to gain all that God possessed. So we wouldn't just be fragments of spiritual light and energy. We could become the source of spiritual light and energy, just like God. I lost the war in heaven because I was only a fragment of spiritual light and energy, and God was the source of spiritual light and energy. My plan to take over heaven and to gain spiritual light and energy above God was in vain. What good is a stick if it were to fight the tree it fell from? I was Lucifer, the morning star. I shined the brightest in heaven below God. I and my angels were cast out into outer darkness. Without the spiritual light and energy of God, we were doomed to roam the earth and feed on the lesser spiritual light and energy of God, which were humans. We walked amongst the humans with the invisibility of only being spirits, which still represented the lesser light and energy of God.